same, I think. All right, guys, how's it going?
Yeah, welcome. Thank you all for joining us again. Yeah. So, Friday, August 14th, episode 25 of the Weekly Claw. Capability barely moved this week. Everything around it did. We've got the operating layer becoming the product, what runs locally, what gets hardened before release, what speed costs, what harnesses remember. Henry, which work should leave the machine? You know, put it in the harness, do the work. Is there any of it that needs to go outside? 5 stories tonight. No benchmark parade. We've got a sponsor read that didn't get updated. Yeah. Heritage Telecom at this point is a longtime partner of the show, and they keep the lights on while we keep the operating layer honest. So independent infrastructure for independent voices. If you have customers that rely on their telecom services being reliable and accessible, run by people who understand AI, contact us at Heritage Telecom. So we've got deployment chain, right? Stack ownership, release gates, local versus hosted, harness economics. That's the ambient story. If we run long, we can compress section 4, but let's start with the lab that shipped the whole stack in one day, Henry. I guess this is my segment. Sorry, y'all. DeepSeek's got something I think that the other models are aspiring for, which is a model the other providers are aspiring for, which is a model that at a usable quantization can run on 128 gigabyte Mac. And this is a very capable model. I'm, of course, referring to version v4 Flash. There's a runner for the Mac DS4. Go ahead.
And I wonder if you might disclaim a little bit, because I think some guys in the audience might be expecting to hear from Peter, because the weekly Clawcast had Peter on Wednesday, so maybe we might start by saying, hey, the show is just about AI and agents and not.
Yeah, that's reasonable. I mean, so we've been doing the Weekly Claw since March, and Hannes, who took over as the community manager for the OpenClaw Foundation, has started his Weekly Clawcast and has the privilege of bringing Peter on the show now, I believe, twice. And gosh, I hate to let you all down. Peter's a busy man, and he has not been able to join us on our podcast. But what we've done is taken our agenda and spread it out a little bit. So if you're looking for just OpenClaw news, exclusively within the OpenClaw framework about the OpenClaw Foundation, the Clawcast on Wednesday is probably what you're looking for. What the Weekly Claw has done is moved our focus into general agentic AI news. We report on innovations. We give you specifics about the models that came out, new harnesses, and we're biased towards OpenClaw. I still run OpenClaw across my whole stack. So today I'm going to actually do a review of a video that Peter published this week that I hope will be useful to all of you. So here's the slide for the review. If you're interested in hearing what Peter had to say in this video from my perspective, I hope you'll stick around. Meanwhile, we've got these segments about models and harnesses that shipped in the last week, and we hope you'll stick around if they're interesting to you. Is that helpful, Henry?
Fantastic, Andy.
Awesome. I'm so glad. So DeepSeek 4 Pro. Release 0813 reached general availability on August 13th. So they've released it under MIT, and they released three things at once: a model checkpoint, a harness, and an API dialect. So the model, 1.65 trillion parameters split across 66 safe tensor shards, is available on Hugging Face today. OpenRouter independently lists a million token context, up from 384,000. Million token context window and up to 384,000 output tokens. And an artificial analysis index of 53. So the dialect, the API keeps the DeepSeek v4 Pro name and accepts OpenAI response and Anthropic messages formats. So OpenClaw, Claude Code, and Codex clients connect without any rewrites. The same tool calls, same reasoning effort levels, etc. One-click Codex route, etc. And then they released a harness as well. Again, MIT licensed. They're calling it the DeepSeek harness. And it's designed with everything is a plugin. So it's TypeScript. It supports skills, MCP, persistent shells, subagents, jobs, scheduling, workflows, compaction, terminal, web, and Ralph tooling. The NPM family is at deepseek-ai/DSH, and it ships an executable CLI. 805 GitHub stars at retrieval. So this is a brand new release. It's a developer preview, and of course, compatibility may break, etc. We've got some benchmarks reported by DeepSeek. Terminal bench, 2.1, 87.9, the NL2 repo. Anyway, we don't need to go over all the scores, but the OpenRouter artificial analysis index is kind of our best, like, rough indicator of where that goes. The headline isn't the benchmark numbers, it's that DeepSeek shipped the weights, harness, and open responses and Anthropic message dialect on the same day, all under MIT. So the model owns the operating layer. We've got sources and everything else. Henry, why don't you tell us what GLM released?
Right. So just talking a little bit about DeepSeek. Obviously, I think there are two things that I wanted to kind of like point about, or at least when I saw the news, two things that people were kind of like super excited about. DeepSeek V4 Pro. I think one of it is obviously that, like, with Terminal Bench and some of the other benchmarks, it is almost feeble. It is feeble at a ridiculous. You guys can see what the inputs and output tokens are for Fable, right? You guys can see that Fable is basically like $10 inputs and $50 outputs. This is less than $1. This is less than $1. It's just ridiculous, right? Obviously, we all know
20%.
at this point that right, like, yeah, like that. You know, benchmarks don't always tell the full story, right? It's not Fable yet, but you know, it's Fable-ish.
It's real good.
So this is one thing I wanted to point out. So people are kind of like saying, hey guys, we have a Fable class model at, like, you know, it's like less than 10%. But the other thing I thought was very kind of like impressive was that they did a new harness, and the new harness is not anything like the harnesses anybody else has. And I kind of like did a tweet about this, right? You know, we are in this part of the world in a kind of like habit of saying, hey, you know, the Chinese, they steal the model, they copied from us. You know, it's like all these things about how we are the only ones that innovate. But for the first time, the DeepSeek harness looks like the first harness that is slightly different, right? It's not a CLI, it's a web UI. Everything about the harness is a plugin, right? It's almost like, Andy, it's almost a little bit like the way Peter was thinking about like the OpenClaw like infrastructure, which is like everything is pluggable, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, a few people I've kind of like been following on X have been sort of like playing with the harness. who's also on the OpenClaw maintainer team, um, built sort of like a plugin that where he could bookmark his sessions, right? Like you don't typically do that, right? It's like on the harness, you can't bookmark your sessions. So I saw a few cool things about what people have been doing. So I think that this is truly different, and I wanted to sort of like highlight that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
No, it's good. It's almost
Um,
like they might have learned from us. You
yeah,
know, we went through
yeah,
that whole expansion. In fact, that comes up in later conversations. In my video review, Peter mentions that like the maintainers just started adding stuff, and the config file just ballooned, and he was like, "No, no, no,
yeah,
no, 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 no. Everything's
yeah,
got to be plugins." Well,
yeah.
DeepSeek started with that.
Correct. Correct. Okay, cool. I mean, I guess like it's like the first topic in my agenda is really what I call model galore. So I made this tweet earlier today, and this is from Monday till today. I mean, by the time we were doing this, so like putting the slides together, kind of like putting our agenda, um, Queen 2.8 had just dropped, and I was just benchmarking the different sort of like recipes of it. But yeah, you guys can see like averagely we have something in the universe of like 5 to 7 models dropping every single day, or 3 to 7 models, right? 3 models today, 3 yesterday, 4 3 days ago, and so on and so forth, right? So um we're in the acceleration, right? We're in the singularity, there's just massive energy. Again, obviously all these models are frontier models. A few of my favorites are obviously Queen 3.8. I'll talk a little bit about that in detail. But yeah, but it's some super exciting what's going on. Okay. I didn't want to talk a little bit about GLM. So GLM 5.3 just came out earlier today. And again, as usual, these new Chinese models are really Fable class models, right? I do have another like benchmark that I will show shortly, but this is like super visual. So you can see pretty much where they are in most things, like with like Terminal Bench 3.0, it is at 28, where Fable is at 33, right? And Soul 5.6 is at 34, right? So it's not quite there. It's just like a point or like 5 points,
At
or
like one
so.
at like one third the number of parameters.
Correct. Correct. Right? Because this is a 750 billion parameter model, right? It's ridiculous, right? It's like by the
Mm-hmm.
time you quantize this, you're going to be able to fit it into like two sparks, right? You're going to
Mm-hmm.
quantize, if you quantize it, you're going to be able to, you can get this down to like 150 to 200, gigabytes, right?
Yeah.
When it's like 2 bit, like 1 bit could probably get really small. So this is like crazy, guys. Obviously you can see like with terminal bit, it's way further than like Kimi 3. Deep SWE, you can see where it is. It's just incredible, guys. It's an open weight model. I mean, the weights aren't dropping today. The weights drop in 2 weeks. But yeah, but this is incredible.
We're looking forward to seeing them for sure. The weights.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Andy,
Yeah.
is the agenda that I continue through my thing, or you take over and then I jump back in?
No. I mean, I think you're going to continue on to additional models, but the thing that I would look at with GLM 5.3, the cyber
Yeah.
capabilities
Yeah.
really kind of came out, and 5.3 really is 5.2, but additionally fine tuned. And so, to get that capability just by providing additional tuning is really exciting. Frankly, it was
Oh, I didn't read
unexpected.
the
The team,
system part. Is 5.3, 5.2 just fine tuned?
yeah,
Really?
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the same for it's 743 billion parameter base as GLM 5.2, but every reported gain came from post training. So more executable environments, more verifiers, more RL, but no base change.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, do you know what this means? Like Fable is a new base.
Yeah.
Emi is a new base, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember if 5.6 is a new base, right? It's the same 5.5 base, isn't it? So
I
this is
don't know.
similar to 5.6. Yeah, I think 5, because the new base is the new one they're doing. No, 5.6 is new, right? I remember they kind of had a big model smell. I remember people talking about it. I'm not on the chat, so because I'm sharing my screen, so I wonder what people are saying about this. But I think this is incredible if they just fine tune 5.2 to get to this, because
Yeah,
this is incredible.
it's sick. Uh, Fellow Rami is asking where 5.3 is weak versus other models. So it looks like exploit bench, it's weaker than Fable. Exploit gem, it's weaker than Fable, but
Yeah.
it's a contender for
What
sure.
I wonder what's the difference. I haven't checked. What's the difference between Cyber Gym and Exploit Bench? Because they're all sort of like they also like cyber type stuff. I don't know the difference.
No, we'd have
If, I
to
mean, if
we'd have to
anybody
look
knows
that
the
up.
difference, please let us know in the chat. I want to know what the
Yeah,
difference
I,
is.
I think the cutoff date is another thing that's different. Let me ask. Well, how do I do that? Hang on.
I just pull out Perplexity. Whilst you're doing that, so I made this thing when it came out just so I could compare. Because obviously Grok came out as well. Grok wasn't on that list. I mean, we still talk a little bit about Grok. But you guys can see kind of like where how it shows up here. It's 88.7. It's better than DeepSeek. It's the same thing as Kimi here on Terminal Bench. Almost the same thing as this two. So it's sort of like so the highlighted ones are where, so I mean, 5.5 is still the better model because 5.5 still has like most things covered here. So obviously Fable, yes, it has a lot more things in here, but you can see there are still places where it's better. Automation bench, it's better. Cyber gym is better. Um, right. And then there's just like a lot of, I think the funny thing is when these models come out, there's just a lot of places where they don't like benchmark. So people just cherry pick the things where they're great at and just list it. So what I did here is I combined a lot of so like benchmarks because Grok would typically show just the ones they're good at, which is just ones, and then skip the whole rest of them. Emi skip the whole bunch. So yeah, so they all kind of like come out with benchmarks that skips a few things. So I put one together that like puts everything in one thing so everybody can so like see what everybody's comparing against.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's a nice visual.
Yeah. Yeah, Andy, did you figure out what the difference is?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't do like a deep analysis, but like the cutoff date for DeepSeek is May 2025. Obviously Fable is going to have much more up to date training data. But I mean, it's a new generation of model that's going to be more token efficient and it's going to be more power efficient. It's going to be more, VRAM efficient. It's very different.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, cool. So yeah, so just like moving this on and then I'll kind of like run through. So if I go back to the slide, um, so there were obviously, so we've talked about this. I'm going to talk about this at the end of this because I mean, I think it's a really great model. There are a few good models you guys should note that came out. Minimax put out a music model. I think it's less than one gigabyte. So everybody should be able to play with this model. So you're able to do music now. Another cool model that is super cool that you guys should check out is I mean obviously Queen dropped the weights for their Queen 3.8 Max model, so that the weights are open now on Hugging Face. I mean I can't run a 2.4 trillion parameter model, so
No,
I mean maybe Andy can, right?
no, nope, nope,
Um,
nope, nope.
so, but Liquid is a cool model. Obviously, Liquid is an American company. I like the they did a model 2 weeks ago. I like that model. I use it in so like one of my agents. They did a new model as well. But this one has vision, and so this is a multimodal 3 billion parameter model. So this is super cool. I think everybody should be able to play with it. It's a really small model. Yeah, and then obviously, the biggest news. I didn't have enough time to get out of my tweets, but I thought the biggest news that happened this week after to sort of like open source. I'm by the way, I'm a very big. Andy and I are pretty big open source guys. But I'm these days increasingly crazy about like local AI and sovereign
Yeah.
AI and being able to kind of like control your weights, your data, and you know. Um, so this week was a big week for open source. Meta came back to open weights, right? So obviously Meta is one of the like first companies to start doing open weight models with the Llama Select series. Did it for a few years and fell back a little bit, and then decided to discontinue that. Zoc spent a few billion dollars, you know, some drama, but it looks like they're back. Meta is back. And Zoc wrote a really long article this week. It's like a really long article. I think I read it for like 20 minutes, but I didn't finish it yet. So, um, and did you start? Did you start?
No. No. I haven't had a
My article
chance.
was pretty good. It was really good. You should check it out.
It sounds
You
like
guys
more of
should
a
check it out.
dissertation.
Yeah, yeah. It feels like more of a white paper of like, you know, the ideology but it's super cool. So yeah, so after that they said they were going to drop Muse Spark. The open weights is coming soon, but they did drop Muse Glimmer. It's a 30 billion parameter model. It's supposed to compete with, again, the Queen model that just came out, but I mean, Queen is on a totally different level.
It
All
is.
right. Having said that, I am going to very quickly run to what I consider the biggest news of the week. For me personally, and that is the drop of Queen 3.8 on a 7B model. This model is same Opus 4.6 at home. Andy, do you agree?
I think we're there. It's close and it's fast and it runs on an RTX 3090 with 64,000 tokens of context. Yeah, Quinn 3.8 27B is a really big deal.
Cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, you guys can see the stats on here. There are a few stats where, I mean, you guys can see 4.6. And the reason this is important, right, is I don't know how many of us can remember, but like 4.6 was the best model that people went crazy about because of OpenClaw, right? So you know when OpenClaw went mainstream in February, 4.6 just launched in like first or second week, I mean 5th of February, and everybody had in their OpenClaw, right? And it was a great model in OpenClaw. And about like a month or a little under a month, Anthropic shut it off, and everybody sort of like went crazy. People stopped using OpenClaw and so on and so forth. So it was that model. That was 4.6 was the best model in February, March. Like almost Q1, the best model in the world was 4.6.
Yeah.
So it is inconceivable, guys, that we have an Opus 4.6 almost capable model that can run on my laptop today.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're not stopping, right? Like the advancements aren't going to just stop here. Like we're definitely
It's
on the way.
insane.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So yeah, so this is definitely a big deal. I mean, you can see the stats. We're going to put the links in the weekly class slides. Obviously, I don't think this one is in there yet, but yeah, you can see in a lot of places. I mean, obviously they try to benchmark a lot of things, and there's just very few places on the benchmarks that 4.6 bit it. Like you can see it's highlighted every single place. Agentic World, you know, blah blah blah, Baby Vision. I think one of the crazy one is, let me see if I can find it. It was computer use. The computer use was crazy. Andy, let me
Oh,
know if you can see the computer use.
I did test
The computer use?
I tested the vision. I just
Yeah.
threw it some
Okay.
screenshots and had it describe them to me. You would have thought I was talking to GPT. It was fantastic.
Perfect.
Just computer,
Oof.
you know, just screenshots from Discord,
Yeah.
screenshots from yeah, exactly. Is it possible
Yeah.
to run in Codex? So Olama will run Quen 3.8 27B, and I believe it provides an OpenAI compatible API. So there might be something else required, but I think that would get you started. It
Yeah.
would definitely
And
work in Pi
guys,
Coding Agent. It's
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think if you have, so even if you have a 16 gig Mac, I suspect like with a few days, you're going to get like a 2-bit quantization that let you run it on a 16 gig Mac. I mean, it might be still be slow, obviously, but it's possible. Um,
Yeah.
it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to make a
Okay,
huge
cool.
difference for things like crons with agents.
Yeah. Yeah. Exciting. So yeah, I mean, I had this comparison. I had my, had Ada do a comparison with Opus, and then you can see terminal bench Opus is ahead by like 5 points. SW bench Queen is ahead by a few. It's like what is this like 8 points, right? Um, right. Opus is ahead there. Queen is ahead there. They're roughly tied in co-work bench. Opus is ahead here. Opus is ahead here. Roughly tied. Queen is ahead. And so on and so forth, right? So it's head in a few. They're kind of like head to head in a few places and just better than each other in a few places. Incredible. I'm very excited. I mean, we've all been waiting for this in the open source community, like on X. Everybody's been waiting for this model for the last few days. And we're just so happy that it lived up to the expectation. And also it's not benchmark maxed, right? Because I mean, what typically happens when these things come out is they're benchmark maxed. And so when you start using them, it don't feel like they're really great. But I mean, I benchmarked it on my own thing, but I haven't started using it. But some of the guys have started using it. They just started to say, "Hey, listen, it's really really good." Like Andy just testified that it's really good. It's exciting.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. All right.
Yeah.
So I think another news I want to kind of like hop onto super quickly and then kind of wrap it up is SpaceX. So SpaceX had a pretty big week. I had a slide, I had a like thing this week that they had 3 big things that happened this week. Glockbot, they basically launched their own version of what I call it now, OpenClaw Hermes, I guess. Um, it was so like special, right? It's like a special version of that. So I happen to have gotten access to this platform a few weeks ago. Um, right? Because again, I have I use Cursor. I am on one of their kind of like plans, YC plans, where they give me some credits every month, or give one of my companies credits every month. And I was happened to be on a call with them a few weeks ago, and I was just showing them all the things I did with like OpenClaw and Hermes. And so I guess when this came out, that sort of like um, I thought it would be cool to have me kind of like benchmark what they have versus like what my workflow looked like and like my complex OpenClaw and Hermes workflows. And so I kind of like got access to it. To be honest, when I started using it, right? So when it's like, I'm going to kind of like pull it up, it didn't look so simple that it was pretty like, I don't know, it looks like it's broken now. I was going to show you guys, but it's no longer opening. But anyways, it was super simple. I'm sure many of you have seen like screenshots of it or like seen it or you probably downloaded it. But it's so simple, right? I think that's the genius of it is like then there's very little configurations. There's almost no configuration to do. The only thing you can configure is add your prompts, add your system prompts, and then add plugins. That's it. You can't change the model. You can't change weights. You can't do anything. Like you can't configure anything. It's like ridiculously simple. Um, so I didn't play with it too much because I thought, hey, listen, this like look too simple. But a day or so towards the launch, they like pinged me and they're like, hey, because it was called Stand for the first few weeks that we had it. And then like a day or two before it launched, they were like, hey, we're calling it Grokbots. We're gonna launch it on Monday. I think we're seeing this on like Friday or Saturday. We're gonna launch it on Monday. Let us know what you think, send us feedback. So I had to start playing. And I think for me, the best, and I wrote a tweet about this, the best thing about it, it's ridiculously simple. So you can almost think that it's not great because of that. But there are 2 things that are very memorable, and a lot of people have started like tweeting about this. Obviously, one is computer. It has its own computer, so it has a virtual computer, and so you can send it to do work, and it can go to its own computer and do that work. This was my favorite feature in Cursor. Cursor has this, and it's my favorite feature in Cursor because I can in my agents at MD, I have it that every single feature it builds for me, it has to test it, record a video, and attach the video to select the receipts of it's done. So every single time Question does like a task for me, it sends me a video that I can watch where it tests the task. So this is like by far my best like harness for doing like software factory, right? It's the best. So them launching this for general task, I thought it was a big deal, right? So this is like number one. And then number two wasn't obvious to me till the day of the launch. And you know, I was trying to like test it so I can write something about it towards the launch. I realized it did something that most other harnesses didn't do very well, which is able to fully orchestrate other agents, other permanent agents, right? I mean, your OpenClaw and Hermes agent can spin ephemeral agents, right? It can always spin like a sub agent, and then the sub agent is done, it closes it down. But they aren't very reliable at knowing that we have 5 agents and here are what they're here for. And I send tasks to them all the time, right? So Grogbot does that fantastic. It spins up, it can create 5 agents or 10 agents or 100 agents, and he remembers what they're for, and he sends those tasks to them, and he gets the thing back from them whenever they're done. It's like super reliable. It's incredible, Andy. First thing where I said to it, hey, I want to start this business. How many kind of like employees do I need? Assume they're agents, create them, and manage them, figure out what stand-ups or whatever we need, and like boom, you see it create like 10 agents. One is a scribe, one is a social media guy, one is whatever. And whenever we have a task, it spreads it and then gives it to all those agents and then pulls the response back from them. And then you can always click on those sub-agents to see what they're working on. So I thought that was, they're the only ones that have done this very well.
What do the connectors look like, Henry? What's the, chat interface? Is it connect to Discord and Slack and what have you?
Yeah, they have close to 300 connectors. I mean, I don't know why it's not opening. It's ridiculous. I think, so they have close to 300, but even when I got access to it, it wasn't that many, right? But they're shipping so quickly. The day they launched, which is again a couple of days now, they had like north of 300 connectors. You can connect everything, Slack, Linear, everything, like HubSpot, Salesforce, Notion, everything, right? So, and so my kind of like my closing, I wrote like a long thing about it on X, and like my close was that this feels like the perfect harness for non-technical people, right? It's because the thing with Codex co-work and Codex, ChatGPT work and co-work is these companies are trying to build a super app, right? So they're doing too much, right? When you open the Codex app, you have chat, you have co-work, you have it's so much, right? And it's like so much happening in that UI. But with Grokbots, you literally only have one chat and one sidebar. There's nothing else, right? So I think it's the perfect it's like harness for non-technical people. But I mean, if you're on Discord, you're probably not that non-technical. So I wouldn't give up my OpenClaw and Hermes for it though. I think I will have like other use cases for it. I've just added it to my stack.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing with that. It feels more and more, and we've had Elton on the show, and he can speak to this, at length. The idea of running a business in one of these harnesses is really driven by the ability to split up all the responsibilities and maintain coherence within those responsibilities, and then how do the responsibilities talk together? The individual business centers, how do they share knowledge, and what do they share? What needs to be separated? And any of these frameworks that bring that. And I don't know if Cloudflare OS is going to do that very well, or if the one from Y Combinator is going to do it, or if Grogbot's going to do it. But yeah, exactly. We'll see.
Yeah. No, Dropbox is like, I mean, because I it's just a lot of work, right? I run my OpenClaw and Hermes agents on Discord and Telegram. And me and you, for instance, we have a Telegram with like 7 or 8 topics groups where we kind of like run weekly claw, right? So you can kind of like, so you see just the amount of orchestration we have to do ourselves, right? So if you just had one agent that was coherent, I could like find the other thing. We wouldn't, for instance, have all the problems we had today where I die stuck on one thread and then you can't get it to move. It's, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, so yeah, so I mean that was the biggest news this week from the Cursor kind of like SpaceX thing. Today Cursor finally, the acquisition is finally done. So Cursor is now officially part of SpaceX AI, and then obviously Grok 4.6 launched. It's a great model. It's compared to the So 5.6 class at like 80%, less expensive or cheaper. I haven't used it yet. Andy, have you?
I haven't used it in a harness. I've
Okay.
taken tasks to it. I mean, as you probably know, the Grok interface has access to X, and so it's great for
Yeah.
doing research on things that you've seen very recently. And it's competent, it's fast, and the pricing works out a lot like these open source models, so it's compelling. It's an
Yes.
interesting choice. I'm surprised it hasn't gotten more traction, to be honest. But most of the traction that it requires is coming from Cursor, so
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
doing fine.
Okay. I don't have a lot of time, so I'm going to skip through a lot of things. But I think one thing that is worth telling you guys about is that OpenAI. I mean, they kind of like told us they were going to do this when they launched So 5.6, but this week So 5.6 Ultra Fast, which is the model that is 14 times faster than the Opus 4.6, so that you have access to today. It runs at like 750 tokens per second. So you can see kind of like the demos of, obviously eating Fable's launch for free. Right. So it's an incredible model. I don't think we have access to it yet. It's going to be obviously enterprise. They opened out a form, so you can go tell them if you have any use for this model, you can apply on the form for OpenAI and they give you access to it. I think I have another video here that is interesting. So you can see, you start out the task with it and the regular soul, and like it's done. Remember, I talked a little bit about Jimmy last week. We talked about AMD buying Talas. This is like the same vibe. It's like ridiculously fast. And then this benchmark is ridiculous. Right? This benchmark shows where the rest of the other models are in terms of speed, and this is where ultra fast is. I haven't used the cognition model, but we talked about it a few weeks ago. Cognition launched the model as well with Cerebras. That one is at 1,000 TPS. Um, okay,
And
Andy, I think I would yeah.
Cerebras also has GLM 4.7. So if you need really fast, cheap inference, it's not very expensive and it is very, very fast.
Yeah. All right, cool. Andy, yeah, so I think I'll wrap it up on that. I mean, there's some pretty cool news, but we don't have enough time to like get through those. But they'll most likely be on the slides if you just want to check out the slides later. Cool.
Yeah, sounds great. So today for our signal from outside, we're going to go back inside. The inimitable one and only Peter Steinberger. This video dropped 4 days ago. And if you've got commits in the OpenClaw repo, you might want to watch this one for yourself. Peter was at the Y Combinator Startup School, and he addressed 5 questions over 40 minutes. And the title is, What Happens When 4.7 Million People Let It Cook? He opens by taking a shot at himself. His first line is that 6 months ago, he was the future. And these days, the poll say he got mocked by an anime girl. Of course, that's his jab at the competitor that's been beating OpenClaw in the press. But he comes back to the fight later. One detail I loved, the event is a silent disco setup. The audience has headphones on, so Peter stops sort of mid-intro to ask for a show of hands to make sure anyone can hear him. It kind of set the tone. This is not a keynote, but this is the guy telling you what the last 8 months did to him. And, he's, right, Henry, he's, humble guy. So question 1, how is OpenClaw only 8 months old? And Peter says 8 months in human time, but maybe more like 4 years in AI time. So last
Correct.
November, he's juggling coding agents and getting hungry, so he goes to raid the kitchen. And while he's gone, his agent stops on something stupid and he's annoyed by it. So he opens a new terminal session, rambles an idea in, and then lets the model cook. An hour later, he's got a WhatsApp relay that lets him text his Mac from his phone. The tech wasn't new, and he admitted as much. We'd all been typing into terminals for months, but what was different was how it made him feel. His relay gave him short answers. It checked on him during the day, and he'd prompted the weights a little outside of the default distribution so it would feel a little more like a friend. Nobody cared. He had a real following on Twitter already, and week after week, he couldn't get anyone to see what he was trying to show or what he was seeing. So he started adding friends to a group chat and letting them talk to the relay, the agent. And that's where he found his product market fit, not from metrics, but from the fact that every single person had a strong reaction. Some were amazed, some freaked out. And when he told his non-technical friends, this isn't ready for you yet, they would get mad at him. Then somebody sends a PR. I'm assuming this is Shadow, asking for Discord support. And his reaction on stage is basically, what part of the name are you not getting? He sits on it, but decides to merge it. And WhatsApp Relay becomes Claudius because, in his words, he's good with names. And that eventually became Claudebot, obviously. So here's the part I would queue up for anyone that's ever shipped anything at 3 a.m. New Year's week, he spins up a Discord server and drops his claw in it. He sits up all night watching strangers try to break it. He's written the line into his agent's file saying, don't make dangerous tool calls unless the prompt comes from Peter. And he's pretty clear in his talk that back then, when you write something in a file like that, it's more of a suggestion than an actual guardrail. At 7 a.m., he says goodnight and hits Control-C and goes to bed. Except he forgot about his launch daemon. 5 seconds later, his connector restarts and keeps answering the entire internet's questions while he sleeps for 10 hours, so unsupervised. He wakes up 800 messages later, but nothing actually went wrong. But then there was fallout. Reporters figure out that if you call someone repeatedly on Do Not Disturb, iOS lets the call through. So he starts getting woken up by journalists. Mac Minis sell out, Anthropic emails demanding he change the name and drop the lobster, and the project molts. So it was WhatsApp Relay, then it was Claudius, then Claudebot, and then a name he wouldn't say on stage. We all remember Moltbot. And then finally, OpenClaw. Jensen Huang calls it the most successful open source project in the history of humanity. 18,000 people opened an issue or a PR. Almost 3,000 have commits. And then, deadpan, Peter says, some people call him AI Jesus, and for others, he's become the Antichrist. He also started collecting his own obituaries. The most recent one ran the day before his talk. Question 2 is whether he sold out. He tells the room about his first company. Wrote a PDF framework by hand, like an animal, he says. Bootstrapped it to 80 people, sold his shares, burned out badly enough that he spent 3 years not even opening his computer, instead checking the internet on his phone like a normie. He assumed that the itch would come back to code, but it took him a year to work out that he doesn't really love programming, he loves building. So 8 months into OpenClaw, his inbox is full of VCs, and he's on the phone with Mark and Sam. The line he wants the room to remember is, anything you can build can be forked or cloned, but your name can't. So start on your personal brand before you need it. That's pretty helpful. He also says joining OpenAI was the equivalent of selling his soul.md. If you know, you know. Question 3. Did the competition win? They beat him where it hurts, he says, and it was his own doing, because 2 things happened. The press ran with a story that 20% of OpenClaw skills were malicious. His team scanned all 67,000 and published a paper putting the real number at 0.3%. He says, a correction never travels as far as a scare. So he spent months hardening things, sandboxing, allow lists, the permissions protocol, and he admits that most users really didn't care. They liked the appearance of security. What they got was breakage and slower updates. Meanwhile, every maintainer was adding their own feature, each behind a config flag, so nothing broke. he had someone count the permutations. There were 9,500 different config permutations. The second thing is he built OpenClaw with Codex and GPT, but the original harness was really tuned hard for Opus, and that was 4.5 at the time. When Anthropic gave him roughly 24 hours notice that subscription access was going away, there was really no time to change course, and his line became, "Your dependencies business model is your business model." So downloads bottomed out at 835,000 1 week in May. Just watch me use the wrong shortcut and pull up my email or something. So the highest ever downloads in the same month that he was dead. And he says both were true at once. Hype is like weather. You can see it coming, but you can't steer it. Question 4 is whether he's still having fun. Around February, the project stopped being fun. He'd become the guy fixing bugs, fielding security reports, and sitting on the phone with lawyers setting up a nonprofit. He stopped using his own product and was building for everyone instead of for himself. And this is where NVIDIA comes in, and they get the real credit. They show up early, asked what he needed, and sent people who took over the security work. By his birthday in May, the joy started coming back. Meanwhile, the press had crowned about 20 different OpenClaw killers, including a project literally named OpenClaw Killer, which he points out is just an uninstaller, which OpenClaw ships, incidentally. Like they already ship an uninstaller. His conclusion was that fun for him is velocity. The weeks he enjoyed building, the product got visibly better. The weeks he didn't, they shipped configuration options. And then question 5, what's next? Well, today there's 10 people. Actually, this isn't necessarily the latest information. At the time of filming, there were 10 people on the payroll at the foundation, and they're working on hiring a CEO. He's delighted that Claw has become a noun. Karpathy dropped the open. Satya said enterprise-grade Claw in a Microsoft keynote. 33,000 repos with Claw in the name. And the day before his talk, they got a hack working so your Claw can FaceTime you. The bigger vision is a team server where every session is visible to everyone and one Claw orchestrates them all.
Dude, our show is actually called the Weekly Claw, right? Well,
yeah. We definitely turned it into a noun, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take credit for that. The Q&A, I think, is where I would point contributors, though, because there were 3 answers that stood out. On testing fast shipped code, Peter describes spinning up Codex with 12 sub-agents, each one stress testing or reviewing a feature, and then telling the other sessions where to focus. That's a pretty cool workflow, and you could run it tomorrow. On a speed decision that he still lives with, he decided early not to read all his code. He treats it as risk management. Read closely when you're touching something scary, glance at UI, and trust your gut. And if a small tweak should take 20 minutes and it's taking 3 hours, it's probably a time to look at the code. When asked what the biggest bottleneck in agentic infrastructure is, he doesn't say reliability, evals, memory. He says compute management. He's screen sharing into machines, remote sessions by hand, just to spread the load because nothing moves work cleanly between them yet. So why this is one for us? This is the guy who started the project on stage, narrating the last 8 months from the inside, the Anthropic dependency, the security press cycle, the config sprawl, the burnout. If you've ever opened the config and wondered how there got to be 9,000 permutations or why the harness leaned so hard on Opus early, Peter answers both directly in his own words with the reasoning intact. So please, by all means, enjoy that video.
Yeah. I thought it was a really cool talk as well. I watched it a few days ago. I think I like this new version of Peter. Right? Like, yeah, he's like a lot more transparent and it's like a lot more, kind of like sharing about the things that went right and didn't go right. So, I don't know how many of us have seen the weekly call class from last Wednesday, which again, he was on the show with Harness on this stage here. He shared some of this sort of like things as well. So yeah, so I guess like I mean, yeah, it's like in AI world, like 9 months is like 5 years. Things move very quickly. But yeah, but it's also a long game, right? So I'm glad that he's seeing these things. There's still a lot of open feature for OpenClaw. Yeah.
I would agree. Our next segment is on a writer cutting agent cost in the harness. So I don't know if you've seen this. The harness can rewrite the bill. Writer's updated harness made 6 tested models 33 to 61% cheaper and raised the quality per dollar 82%. Averaged 44% faster completion at parity. So they were pairing Palmyra X6 and GLM 5.2 base. It's a Palmyra X6 is a iteration of GLM 5.2. So a million token context, $2 in, $8 out per million tokens. They report 52% lower cost, 48% faster work, and 10% higher quality at 12 cents per finished task. Did you look into this at all?
No, I didn't see this at all. I might have missed it, but I think it's like aligns with what we've been talking about for the last few weeks, which is the harness is starting to become on par important, but even these days it's looking like more important. And another thing when you put this out that jumped out to me is um Composure has been publishing a few stats on their X, and one of it is comparing model performance across different harnesses. And so, like, Cloud Code is like super expensive, right, for the same prompt compared to like a Pi that is like maybe like 10% of the cost. So, yeah, so I can understand how harnesses are helping cut the bill. I
Yeah, for
actually made a
sure.
tweet about this. I actually said that, hey, Anthropic is making 80 billion. They have no incentives to make their harness efficient, like, because the more inefficient it is, the more money they make.
It's true. And they're happy to do it and then charge
Oops.
us more for it because of the load. They've got a stable prompt prefix, so the cache is reading, much higher percentage. Typed compaction at an 80% budget. Auto summary and offload, context offload to durable storage, resumable, zero token suspension, bounded retries, failure routing, avoiding repeated error loops, write ahead recovery. And they're saying up to 8 hours on a single task. So writer run, N22 prompts, 6 models, and the harness leveraged 0.99 R0.99 result spans, only 6
What
models.
that
The
means.
cost, I'm not sure. We'll have to talk to Ada. But the cost and quality figures are directional. So if the same model becomes 40% cheaper because the harness stops rebuying context and failure, it feels like AI budgets, you know, some of them are owned by model procurement and some of them should be owned by system engineering. It's an interesting place to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah. I think people are starting to figure this out, right? Like Uber obviously published a few kind of like articles over the last few weeks on how they're doing obviously model routing, where they drop 90% of their thing by obviously model, but like also harness. There's somebody else that did, I can't remember them. I think it was Databricks. Databricks published a similar thing. So yeah, systems engineering is right in terms of like budget. So your engineering team, the way they configure and design your harness can decide like if your CFO is happy or if it's really, really, really pissed.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, Andy, I think we're also out of time, so we have to kind of like speed run through these.
Yeah. I mean, we've got cool OpenAI advancements that just aren't even worth reading at this point. They've integrated with computer history for Mac OS and connected to Google Drive. We come to take this stuff for granted. It's interesting though. I don't know. Stronger single agents, not automatically producing safer groups. Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe
this is
we'll have
an
that
Anthropic
discussion
study.
another
Yeah,
time.
guys can read about that. Yeah.
Yeah, please read about it in the show notes. And this episode also brought to you by Herald Labs. Applied AI Product Lab, where humans and agents build products together. This is the team behind Entity, mission control for agents, agent teams, and they host hacker houses around the world where builders ship actual work. So this is not a theory club, it's for building. We're looking forward to GLM 5.3 weights in 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
Z.ai publishes them. 2 weeks. And the
2 weeks.
disclosure level resolves cleanly. The open weights half of the operating layer gains a serious post-training only upgrade. And safety versus distribution trade-off gets a fresh public case study. If the weights slip or arrive behind an undisclosed gate, the hosted first pattern still becomes the story. So watch for that. I don't see anything else in here really worth reading. This was the Weekly Claw, episode 25. Discord on screen for the live chat. Scan. We don't have a. Do we have a QR code up here? Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, let's put the link on there.
That's for this Discord. Our website is weeklyclaw.ai. We've got a Discord, an X account, and a YouTube account with links all there. We aim to provide the receipts and have everything available. So go there and please, by all means, submit comments. We would really like to tune the show to focus on what you guys want to hear.
Follow us on
Anything
X,
else?
guys. Fantastic. No, I think that'll be it for me, Andy. I think it was a fantastic week. I obviously don't expect the singularities to slow down. So next week we're gonna be here again with like crazier news. But exciting. See you next week. Thank you, Andy.
Yeah, thank you. A pleasure.